and I haven't seen Johnny in years and what he's doing. Played guitar for me a lot, was a good guitar player. Rick Ebert played the bass for us, and the drummer, as I was telling you last night, I can't remember his name. We're going back 35, 40 years.
Yeah,
now.
right.
Taxing my memory, you know.
And you were playing sock hops and doing things like that,
That's
and
correct.
then you decided to go down and record a tune.
Yes, we
The one we
recorded
just
our
played.
first record right here in town on Candlelight Records at the Oral Roberts studio. The old studio was up on Lewis before they moved, before they built the university.
Oral Roberts let you come in and record some rock and roll
I don't
music.
think Oral knew about it.
Raoul, I think, must have been behind
Raul
that.
booked this gig.
I see. What do you remember about that, Raoul?
I still got the down payment in my pocket right now.
Never did ever give it to him.
I never split it up. That's a bad thing about music business. There's a lot of crooks in it.
Certainly, you know some, I'm sure. Personal friends of yours, right? Just like Clyde is here.
Now, what was that Baby Shame record? And when was that recorded? Remember that?
Now, yeah, 1958. Yeah, we're gonna.
That's the first time I saw Clyde. I was swinging through Tulsa after he'd left Lubbock and come up here. I kind of traced him down and went down to Continental Skating Rink on 11th Street. And
there he was.
Fake ID and got in and caught the show, picked a few pockets.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that record, Baby Shame, because it got Clyde Stacy on national television. But in the meantime, another Candlelight record here, and we'll visit a little more in a few minutes here, Clyde. Clyde Stacy is our special guest from Tulsa, and there's a song here that Dickie Lee recorded. In fact, he wrote this song. And how was it that you came to record it? The song Dream Boy.
Yeah, well, I actually didn't pick out the song, John. As you probably know, back when I was in the business in the 50s, 60s, artists then didn't have the latitudes they have now. They didn't usually pick their material. That was usually up to your managers and the A&R people. They're the one that decided what we record and what we don't. So actually they picked this record.
Okay, so A&R people just come in and said, "Hey, boy, you record this song.
You're going to do this song, boy."
It's called Dream Boy, and it's Clyde Stacy from KAKC.
Dream boy, let me be. Dream girl, you're for me. Let me be your dream boy. Always love me true. You're all I ever longed for. Ever since the first day I saw you. Love me true. Let me walk you home after school. Come on, sweetheart, join me cool. You know I'm your fool. Oh, dream boy, let me be. Dream girl, you're for me. Oh, I love you so. Oh, if I ask you, would you wear my ring? Would you go steady and everything? I want you and no one else will do. Oh, who's gonna take you to the senior dance? If I ask you, would there be a chance? I want you and I want your romance. Oh, to be your dream boy's my desire. You have set my heart on fire. Oh, I love you so. Oh, dream boy, let me be. Dream girl.
Well, it's a nicely produced record that sounds right out of 1957 in that era. And Clyde Stacy, who recorded that back then on the Candlelight record label. Was that the second record you had out after Hoy Hoy?
Yes, John, I think that was the second one that we did after Hoy Hoy. I think we did that in 19 early 58 probably, early
okay.
58.
But that was not done in Tulsa, was it?
No, that was done in New York City, Bell Sound Recording Studio, and with the studio musicians.
Okay.
You know,
Do you remember the girl chorus in the background? The girl was doing the little high
that was
part
Ray
of it?
Charles. Ray Charles singers on there.
Ray Charles singers.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
They had a Ray Charles choral groups, and they had several of them, and they worked in like quartets, 4, sometimes 6 singers, and they did primarily backup work for recording, and that's who that was. I don't know who was doing the
real high part.
I don't know. No.
Okay. Well, that was a little technique that you found in a lot of records of that era.
That's true.
The real high contralto voice. Clyde Stacy's our guest today, formerly with the Nightcaps, came right out of Tulsa, recorded in New York City, and Clyde, would it be fair to say that you really wanted to be a country singer when you started out?
Yeah, that's really what I had in mind, John. I was, of course, roots was in country music, and that's what I really wanted to do. But back in the 70s, I'm sorry, I gave back that mistake I told you last night. Back in the late 50s, country music was not really big then, like it is now.
In New York,
it was big in the South, sure, you know, in Tennessee
right.
and Oklahoma and Texas, but back east you couldn't give it away if you'd give it to them free. But I wanted to do country music, but I couldn't get the producers and A&R people to go along with it. They would say, no, country music just don't sell here.
So you're going to be you're going to try to be like Elvis, man. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah, we want you right. We wanted you to do more of this rock and roll stuff like Elvis or Jerry Lee or somebody like that. Frankie Avalon, Fabian Forte or somebody.
Right.
That's what they were looking for.
1958, you've gone to New York City. You've recorded some records. You're appearing in the clubs and the teen hops in that area. And about summertime in 1958, you find yourself with Dick Clark on American Bandstand. How did that come about?
Well, I was in Canada working at a club up there, and they had called me. My manager had called me and told me they needed me to be back in New York. I think it was like a week. As soon as our gig was over at the club up there, we were playing in Toronto at the old Edison Hotel, which is not there anymore because my wife and I was there a couple of years ago, and it'd been torn down. So after that, he told me to come on into New York, that we had a show to do in Philadelphia, and I didn't even know until I got back in the studio that it was Dick Clark's show. So when he told me, I was quite, of course, excited about that. You know, I was probably 21 years old and just, really thrilled to be on there.
Had you watched American Bandstand? Did you know what the program was?
I had seen it before many times. It was the old Bandstand show, come on every day at 4 o'clock on ABC, affiliate in Philadelphia,
right?
Which I think I mentioned to you. Dick Clark's father owned the station. That's how he got the show. Not that he didn't have any talent.
Well, certainly, yeah.
Certainly.
America's oldest teenager.
That's correct. And he looks as good today as he did when he was 40, I guess.
Right, yeah.
That's correct.
Well, you're hooked up to be on American Bandstand to make a personal appearance there. Did you do it by yourself with the band or what?
Back in those days, and I guess they still do it, John, they what they call lip sing, they play the record and
right.
you just sing the song, but the mic is dead. There's nothing coming through it. So that's the way they did it back then. And
was your band behind you though on the stage or on the set?
No, I didn't take the band with me. A lot of promotional tours, carrying a band with you became very expensive to do when you're taking 4 or 5 people with you. So when we were on promotional tours, primarily you traveled alone by yourself.
Okay. Well, you had a new record out at the time called Baby Shame, which again was an old blues tune you'd kind of rocked up.
That's correct.
And this one did pretty well for you. And as a result of being on American Bandstand, did you see the sales of the records go soaring, or
they? I wouldn't say they soared, but they certainly sales went up. And of course, we started getting a lot of calls for work, work in clubs or do this show and that show. So it certainly had an impact.
Being on American Bandstand was well worth the time, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes, it was. It was kind of like being on the, I'd say almost like being on the Ed Sullivan Show, maybe not quite the
With
impact.
the teenagers, it was very, very big.
As far as the teenagers, it probably had a bigger audience than Ed Sullivan Show, yeah.
Well, you were there. You were on American Bandstand. We don't know today. You don't recall the exact date, but it was in the summer of '58.
You and I pinned it down. We thought it was sometime probably in the middle of August right around that time.
And besides yourself, there were other guests that day on that
correct.
same Bandstand program. You were in pretty good company. Do you remember who you were with?
Well, I do. Johnny Ray, and probably nobody except you and I and Raul here knows who Johnny Ray was.
You remember Johnny Ray, don't you, Raul?
Yeah, I do. I'm the one made him cry.
Yeah. Your personal friend he is, weren't
That's
you?
the one.
He's still balling.
You were that little white cloud.
Little white cloud and cry because of the monster hits back in the 50s, and he was on the show, and one of my favorite all-time rock and roll blues singers, Jackie Wilson, was on there.
So you were in some tall cotton. So
good company, real good company.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How did Dick Clark treat you? Was he a nice guy?
He was very nice. I was scared to death. I was 21 years old. Of course, Dick Clark, was bigger than life even then, and absolutely scared to death. So I was back in one of the dressing rooms, and he was talking to the artist like he always does about, what do you want to say? What do you want me to ask you? And this and that. And so I just really kind of freeze up. You don't know what to say. But it turned out real good. And
did you find that the kids and the people of Philadelphia liked Southern accent and the rockabilly kind of rock and roll? Were they really into that?
They really were. They were really, they really were. They were into the rock and roll thing. Of course, back east, I guess they were more so than it was in the Midwest here. But they really liked it, and they liked. Elvis was really big at the time, and he was getting bigger every day. And anybody that had hair was a little long and had sideburns and had a guitar, well, they thought, so this was the thing.
You were up checking chicks out in Philly, weren't you?
I was checking them out.
All right. Well, let's go back and play that tune that you lip-synced that day in the summer of 1958 on American Bandstand. It was an ABC network, national.
ABC affiliate, right.
Channel 8 here in Tulsa. That's
correct, yeah.
Was carried out of Muskogee when you...
At that time, it was, still in Muskogee.
Well, the song is called Baby Shame, and the same guy that wrote this song wrote the original version of Kansas City, believe it or not.
That's right.
Little Willie Littlefield was the man, and this is Clyde Stacy, 58. He's on American Bandstand and lip-syncs this song.
I didn't mind telling you that we were through. You didn't even care 'cause you had somebody new. Baby shame on you. Baby shame on you. Just like you're doing me, somebody do the same way too. Said that you love me, that's straw you told. When I got broke, you put me out in the cold. Baby shame on you. Baby shame on you. Just like you're doing to me, somebody do the same way too. Stood before the altar, said I do. Just a week later, then you tell me we're through. Baby shame on you. Baby shame on you. Just like you're doing to me, somebody do the same way too. Let's rock now. Hit it. I do my best, make a happy home. You got a thrill out of doing me wrong. Baby shame on you. Baby shame on you. Just like you're doing to me, somebody do the same way too. Just like you're doing to me, somebody do the same way too. Oh yeah, just like you're doing to me.
1958, it's summertime. Clyde Stacy from Tulsa finds himself in Philadelphia at the TV studios and in front of all the kids in the gallery and being interviewed by Dick Clark. Now, you lip-sync the song, Clyde. It's over. The kids are cheering. Dick Clark walks over to you with the microphone. Do you remember what he said to you?
Not for sure, John.
Bits and pieces of it. I mean, you paraphrase it some.
I mean, it's been a long time ago, and like I said, I probably couldn't have told you 5 minutes after I left there what he said, but it was pretty much the routine stuff. He congratulated me on the record and wanted to know where I was from, and I told him from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he wanted to know what was the station here, the affiliate that carried his show, because he's always interested in that,
Right.
And I told him that Channel 8, was ABC affiliate here, and asked us, where we were going. I mean, like when we left there, and what we'd been doing, things like that. It was a rather short interview, maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, and then he said, "Would you step over to the autograph table?"
Yes, he said, "Would you step over here with the autograph table and do some autographs?" So I did, and Johnny Ray also did, and I can't remember. I think Jackie Wilson had to leave to go somewhere. I think he was kind of pressed for time, so I think he cut out just as soon as he did the show and left.
All right. So all the kids came over, the next record's playing, and the camera, like they typically would do on American Bandstand, would show shots of the artist signing autographs for the
That's true.
for the kids who came over.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'd have been scared to death, but I'm sure that's what happened.
Okay.
Right.
Have you ever heard from Dick Clark? Has there been anybody that was on that show, a dancer or someone that has ever contacted you about that, or was that just it, gone, and that was it?
About being on the show?
Yeah, right.
I never did talk to Dick Clark personally after that one time. We were scheduled to go back on there the following year. We had a release coming out, but in the meantime, we had commitments somewhere, and we couldn't get away to go.
Right.
And of course, at that time, the Dick Clark show, was the biggest thing going, except maybe Ed Sullivan.
Yeah.
And if you didn't go when they had a slot,
You were just out of luck.
you waited till the next one, and it might be a year before it comes up again.
Right.
So we were had an engagement, we couldn't make it, so we never did get back on there.
How were you traveling in those days? Were you traveling in a station wagon, a truck, pickup, buses, or how did you travel?
Well, I traveled. Mostly, we traveled by plane, and especially when we were on promotional shows and stuff like that. When I went a lot by myself, just me, and sometimes your road manager go along with you. So we traveled mostly by plane, and
So you weren't taking the band everywhere you went?
no, not everywhere, because there again of the expense, of taking
Right.
the band everywhere you go. But we did take the band when we'd work in clubs and stuff. We took the band, and then we would travel in van or station wagon and stuff like that.
All right. We've got another record here we want to play, and I want to come back and find out about some of the famous people you've shared a stage with or worked with in some way. I know Patsy Cline was one.
Yes, that was
So
a
you
big
have
thrill
some
when I
nice
worked for
memories
Patsy.
of her.
Right.
And Jim Reeves,
Jim Reeves.
and a lot of rock and rollers too, right? So we're going to come back and find
Those
out,
of 'em.
give you a little chance to think back about that a little bit.
All
We'll
right.
come back and talk about
All right.
that. And to find out what Clyde Stacy's most embarrassing moment was in the history of his career, which lasted 40 years. Raoul, I know you probably there.
Well, I didn't have a hand in any of that.
But you were there.
It must have been some other body.
Must have been some other body. Lord.
No, it wasn't me.
Wasn't me. Clyde Stacy with Raoul, who was kind enough to find his old friend, bring him up here. Clyde Stacy sings it.
You want love, I can tell by your eyes. You want love, but you want it in surprise. My, oh my, your eyes are like stars up above. Sugar, that's love. You want love, I can tell by your smile. I'll give you love, but not for just a while. My, oh my, you want love. I'll dance with you in the moonlight. I'll take you to the movies every Saturday night. Our love will be beyond compare. You know we make a perfect pair. You want love, I can tell by your eyes. You want love, by your eyes. You want love, but you want it in surprise. My, oh my, you're right. I like stars up above. Sugar, that's love.
The song is You Want Love, and that was one that Clyde Stacy wrote himself, became his biggest selling record back in, what, 59, 60?
Yes, I think it was late 58 or early 59, John. I think probably early 59.
Okay, but you also told me that that one did very well up in Canada.
Did very well. This one here, we made the top 40 in Canada, and we sold a lot of records in Canada. I actually always said I had two careers, one in the United States and one in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Up there with Ronnie Hawkins, weren't you?
Up there playing with Ronnie, yeah, right.
Were you good friends with Ronnie? Worked a lot with him?
Worked some with him in clubs up there. He would work across the street, and I'd work across the street in another club, and we'd get together and kind of visit and kick things around. That's pretty much the way I knew him.
Yeah. Was old Raoul running lights and sound for you guys back then? Was that what he was up to?
No, I had
What?
I had a part-time job. I was a Mountie
You were a Mountie.
up in Canada.
Now, I've never heard this story before. Now,
Well, it
I
brings
know.
back memories when Clyde came up and started talking about. Remind me that time I was a Mountie up there in Canada.
How long did that gig last?
Well, they took my gun away the second day. The first day, my horse bolted on me, and I had to walk, which made me look kind of funny. Everybody else was on a horseback, and I was trying to keep up with them. And the next day, they called me in and jerked my firearm, and I just turned in my sombrero and said, "That's enough of this."
You turned in your Smokey Bear hat, and that was...
They let them have it.
All right. So you were a Mountie, but only for a short time.
Well, you have to be mounted to be a Mountie.
Yeah, that's right. Wasn't it?
If you ain't, you're just a walkie.
Well, Raoul was up in Canada in those days with Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks, and, of course, our guest today, Clyde Stacy. For those that may be scratching your head wondering, is this the same Clyde Stacy that's today in the fence business in Muskogee? That is a true story.
That's a true story. I retired from the music business about 10 years ago, from working consistently every week, and
Making an honest living now.
right. So I was going to say I had to get a legitimate job. So
Right. Okay.
I'm in the fence business on American Fence Company, and
In Muskogee.
and actually Tulsa too.
Okay.
Also,
All right.
I should say. Bad grammar there.
So you build like backyard fences and fences
Yes,
around corral fences, anything like that, right?
Any kind. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Right. Any type.
That's Clyde Stacy today, and I need to take a quick time out, catch up on a little business. Back on the other side, we'll talk about your opportunity to meet and work with Patsy Cline.
Oh, good.
Coming up next, right here. Boy, this lady right here wowed everyone. One of the real classic performers that every lady today has a debt. She was Patsy Cline.
Crazy, I'm crazy for feeling so lonely. I'm crazy, crazy for feeling so blue. I knew you'd love me as long as you wanted, and then someday you'd leave me for somebody new. Worry, why do I let myself worry? Wondering what in the world did I do? Oh, crazy, for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you. Crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. I'm crazy for trying and crazy for crying, and I'm crazy for loving you.
Boy, great song written by Willie Nelson, Crazy Patsy Cline, and boy, what a song, what a voice, and what an inspiration to millions of female singers today. When you go to the karaoke places, somebody's always going to do those Patsy Cline songs, and rightly so. And she was a personal friend of yours, wasn't she, Raoul? Patsy Cline.
That's right.
You knew her down in Winchester, Virginia, where she came from.
Well, she's the first woman I ever seen carry a straight razor.
She carried a straight
Well,
razor
you know,
in her cowboy boots? Is that?
I never did look at her boots before, but she reached down there and came up with it, so.
She was going to make sure you kept your place, I guess.
I did, too.
Clyde Stacy, our guest today, along with Raoul. Clyde, where did you meet Patsy Cline? Where did you work with her?
I first met, well, I'd seen Patsy on the shows, but first time I met her, John, and worked with her was in New York State. Actually, not New York City, but New York State. It was a good friend of mine who lived in Canada, had a big station up there. Name of George Lorenz, but he didn't go by that name. He went by the Hound Dog Man. And
a lot of people remember that guy.
Yeah, there's going to be a few remember him. Kind of like his legacy is probably as big as Wolfman Jack almost.
Right.
But he called me and asked me if I'd do a show at Bradford State Fair, which is just on the Pennsylvania side of Buffalo, New York. There.
Okay.
And I told him that I would, and didn't know who was going to be on the show, but until I got there, and that's how I met her. I went there and with George and his family, and found out when I got there that Patsy Cline was going to be on the show. So I was just thrilled to death and so excited and shaking it. I couldn't hardly do my show and sing, but she was just marvelous. She come backstage and talk to me for a while, just visiting, and said, just go out there and do your thing. She said, they don't know when you make mistakes. Don't pay attention to it. So, they don't know. They think you're great, Okay.
And
well,
so
she was a super lady.
She would have been a girl at the time. What year was it? Do you recall what year that was?
That would have been probably late 1957.
Okay, so she was really just becoming a star herself.
Yes, she was. She was a pretty established star, but you're right. She was early in her career. That's true.
Hadn't had the giant hits yet, but it had a tune called "Walking After Midnight."
"Walking After Midnight," and I think "Crazy" was just released when or one of the songs might have been "Crazy," just released, or when we were there. I don't know if it's even out in the stores yet or not, but she did some songs from her new album that just came out, and it was just a wonderful time for me because she was one of my favorite all-time country singers, and I think just real thrill for me to meet her and work with her. And also on the same show, one of my favorite probably rock singers and blues singers from that era, besides maybe Jackie Wilson, was Roy Hamilton. You and I talked about him.
Right, yeah.
Marvelous singer. He had,
"You Can Have Her, I Don't Want Her," "Don't Let Go."
That's right. Ebb Tide. Yeah. "You Never Walk Alone." Just fantastic. And
he was a movie star too.
It was a beautiful show, and just hundreds of people there, thousands maybe. Scared me to death. I was probably 21, 22 years old.
You ever meet Patsy again? Were you ever able to connect on the
Never
same show?
Met Patsy again after that, and of course I'm glad I got to see her. Of course, unfortunately, what happened in 1964. She was gone, and I got to see Jim Reeves. I met him one time, also.
How about rock and roll singers? Who you worked with that we'd know?
In rock and roll?
Yeah, right.
Just about all of them, one time or another. The old timers. Yeah, let's go back to when I started, like in '57, I guess. I worked with Jerry Lee Lewis.
Worked
When he
with
first-
the Killer.
The Killer, yeah.
Okay.
When he first came out with a whole lot of shaking going on, I was doing a show in Atlanta, Georgia. And Ray Stevens was on the show, you know,
Right.
Crazy Ray.
Crazy
He's a good
Ray.
friend of mine. I even spent the weekend at his house when I was in Atlanta. And, of course, I never dreamed that he would go on and become the really superstar that he is now. But he was a talented guy. And he was on the show, and there was a lot of Johnny Horton,
Johnny Horton.
good friend of mine.
Yeah.
I stayed in the same hotel as him. We played little cards together after the show, and found out about one thing about Johnny. He was very, very superstitious.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, very superstitious. And you know, like he was the type, if a black cat right in front of him, he'd drive 20 miles back and go around him. You know, and it's just one of them things. You know.
Sure.
And I did a show with him, and at that night he was on the show, and then the next day we also did a show too. And so it was a great time. And of course, unfortunately, you know, a few years later, well, Johnny was killed in an automobile accident in Texas, I believe.
Right.
And but that's just some of them. And like I said, the list goes on. I never did get to work with Elvis. I would like to have, but the closest I ever got to him was backstage in Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, and he let me touch his guitar.
He did.
Yeah. He said, "Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up, boy." But he let me touch it.
Right.
So
Well, you and Elvis would have been about the same age.
Elvis was
contemporaries.
about a year and a half older than me.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So pretty much the same.
And of course, you worked with Buddy Holly. That was
Buddy Holly, yeah, I worked with Buddy several times, and I think I told you the story before, but I did a show with Buddy in Baltimore, Maryland, in 1958.
Now, is this one of those bus tour things, one of those caravan of
Well,
stars kind of, or
What we were doing at this time, we were doing one of those local TV shows from Baltimore.
like a bandstand?
It was a local
program?
bandstand, right? Exactly, a local bandstand thing, which covered Baltimore area and Washington D.C. area.
Top 10 dance party there.
That's correct.
That
That's
kind of-
correct. You made those shows. That was the way you did it. That's what back then them days. That's the way you did it. And did a show with Buddy, and we got to visit and talk a long time. I hadn't seen him in a while because he'd been really, really busy. And he was telling me he was getting married. He was really excited about that. And he had got an apartment in New York. I mean, he still went back to Lubbock to visit
Right.
his family and everything, but he got an apartment in New York. And he did get married about 2 or 3 months after that. And
So this was-
there again was a very tragic thing because about less than a year after I seen him, actually about 6 months, is when he got killed in an airplane crash.
Right. That happened in February of 1959.
1959,
So the last time you saw him was
summer of '58,
in Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland.
All right. Tell me about the song "So Young." Somebody's already called wanting to hear it. It's the flip side of "Hoy Hoy," your first record.
Yeah, somebody called a while ago and said, "How come you don't play So Young?" And I said, "Well, I thought he did already." And they said, "No, he didn't."
We're going to do it right now. Tell me about. This was recorded in Tulsa.
Yeah, So Young was supposed to be the A side of the song. This is the only recording that actually was done with my original band called the Nightcaps, and the So Young was supposed to be the A side, and Hoy Hoy was something we just put on the record. But
Okay.
and this song here went to number 57, I think, in Billboard, and it also made top 10 in Canada.
Okay. Clyde Stacy and the Nightcaps, 1957, right here in Tulsa.
But baby, don't let them tell you I'm too young. Such a pretty baby.
So young, my teenage love, so young, my darling.
Oh, baby.
Oh, how I desire your lips warm as fire, and the thrill when you're near me.
My baby.
As our love may grow, it will hurt me, I know, for our love can never be. Sweetheart, I want you so bad. This love is driving me mad, but what can I do? So young, too young, that's what they tell me. Oh, I know that I'll cry, and I know that I'll die when they take you away from me.
Such a pretty baby.
I'm feeling so blue, for I know that it's true, I can never have you. Sweetheart, I want you so bad. This love is driving me mad, but what can I do? So young, too young, that's what they tell me. Oh, I know that I'll cry, and I know that I'll die when they take you away from me.
Such a pretty baby.
I'm feeling so blue, for I know that it's true, I can never have you.
Oh, baby.
Boy, I'm telling you what. Now, you were getting a little risque back in 57 there with that
In
sexy
1957,
girl.
that was a no.
Who was that girl? Do you remember who she was?
Yeah, John, I don't. I wish I did. I can see her face.
Mm-hmm.
She was a cute little redheaded girl, but I can't remember her name for nothing. If she's out there, maybe she might call us and tell us what her name was.
Okay.
She surely remembers it still,
Yeah.
but
May have been the only record she ever made. You know?
it possible that it was. We kind of talked her into this. She didn't really want to do it, but she had the voice for it, so we let her do it, and turned out real good.
Clyde Stacy and the Nightcaps, 1957. You record Hoy Hoy, and you record that the tune we just heard at Oral Roberts.
Or Roberts Studio, the old studio, right before they moved it down to the Mabee Center.
You remember how much it cost you to do that? Or you remember the fees of the?
John, I didn't pay for it, but I would say probably. I'd say probably a total of maybe $500.
Not bad.
You know,
that was a lot of money in '57, wasn't it?
Well, yes, of course we had our own band, which we didn't have. We paid them, but of course not a lot of money. And of course the engineer and the tapes you pay, not compared to probably
like
15 or 20,000 or 40,000 that you'd pay today to do one. Yeah.
Okay. Clyde Stacy is our guest. The Nightcaps. They were John D. Levan, Rick Eilert, or Eilert?
Rick Ebert was a bass player. And they were with me forever. And, of course, Johnny Starr worked guitar also with J.D. a lot. And sometimes they'd alternate if J.D. was playing somewhere, but he'd fill in. Right. And Ebert played bass for me forever. And like I said, the drummer, I just cannot remember his name. I don't know why. But I can't remember his name. Maybe if he's out there, he'll call and tell us what his name is, too.
Where are they today? The ones that you know, where are they today? John D. Levan still lives in this area?
J.D. still lives around here, I think. Someone told me that he had moved to Arkansas and for a while, but I think maybe he's back in the area now. I haven't seen John in a while. He used to do a lot of club work around Tulsa. He did solos for a long time, shows and stuff like that. Right. And I hadn't seen him for a while. And, would like to see him again because we go way back to we were about 17 years old first time I met John D. He was from a little town called Preston down 75 Highway here. Yeah, just same place that Will Sampson is from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right, the Indian actor.
Right. And so quite a guy, but like I said, the drummer just slips my mind. Like I said, if he's out there, well, maybe he'll call us and tell us. How
about the bass player Rick? Where's he today?
I haven't seen Rick Ebert in years. And George Mitchell played bass for me also, Rick Ebert and George Mitchell.
Now this is the old slap bass.
This is the old slap bass, right? There was back then electronic basses were few and far between. Mm-hmm. They still use the old uprights, which I still really prefer the sound of them. But
they've got the best sound.
Nobody wants to carry them around anymore.
On the top of the car or something.
Right.
Okay. Clyde Stacy is our guest, and if you have a question or something you'd like to ask Clyde, well, you're welcome to give us a call. 460-1300 is our request line number, and we'll let you visit with Clyde for a few minutes. If you have a special memory of seeing him at a dance or a show or a KAKC record hop, or if you remember seeing him on American Bandstand.
Yep.
That still exists. I'll bet anything. You could write to Dick Clark Productions, and they could find that clip of you being on the...
I understand that all the shows were taped, and I'm sure they have them in their archives somewhere that they could pull it out if we could get them to do it.
Now you have 5 sisters. Am I
That's
right?
correct. That's correct. Yeah.
And your mother, I think you told me.
My mom still lives. My father's dead. Yes.
Father died when you were young.
Pretty young. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a mother and 5 sisters at home.
Mm-hmm.
What was their reaction to seeing their brother on American Bandstand?
Well, they're all younger than me, so some of them were like at the age probably of 8, 9, 10 years old, which they really probably could care less, you know. And a couple of them were in the teenage, 13, 14, 15 years old, that age, you know. And I think they were probably like most kids that age. I think they were probably, excited about it.
Go to school the next day, and my brother was
brag about their brother being on American Bandstand.
Where were they living at the time? Within
here in Tulsa.
Oh, in Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right here in Tulsa, right.
Okay, and so they might have gone to school where at the time?
They went to school. I went to school in Jinx when I lived here. Of course, that's going way back. And they went to school in Jinx, and I think later they moved to the old, what's the Union School now?
Okay.
Union District now.
All right. So,
I don't know, South Garnett or Mingo or somewhere in there.
and your sisters' names were?
All of them?
Yeah.
Okay, my youngest, starting with the youngest, her name is Sandra.
Okay. Stacy?
That's correct.
Okay.
Not now, but was.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one here was Joyce. I hope I get this right. My next sister was Joyce, and the next one was Carolyn, and the next one was Joanna, and the next one was Sue.
And of course, your real name is Stacy, and not
That's
a stage name. So
right. That's the real name, our real name, and Clyde Stacy is my real name. That's
I'll
correct.
bet the Stacy sisters all went to school the next day just beaming about their brother being.
Well, I imagine they were pretty excited about it.
What did your mother think about your rock and roll career and being?
Well, she's all for it. My mom's kind of an old musician herself.
Okay.
She plays guitar and sings and different. Used to. She don't do it anymore. But she used to a lot and sing in church and even other places too occasionally. This is going back a few years, and she really likes. So I guess I get what talent I got it from my mother's side, I suppose.
Good place to get it in.
Right.
All right. We're going to ask you, Clyde, here in a few minutes about the most embarrassing thing that ever happened in your whole career.
Well, there was many of them, John.
Okay.
There's many.
Well, we'll maybe catch 2 or 3 of the best ones, okay? But let's go back and remember the guy you went to high school with. And this was the way he was sounding at the time you were with him. Buddy Holly, Lubbock, Texas, 1955.
Blue days, black nights, blue tears keep on falling for you, dear. Now you're gone. Blue days, black nights, my heart keeps on calling for you, dear, and you alone. Memories of you make me sorry. I gave you reason to doubt me, but now you're gone, and I am left here all alone with the blue memories. I think of you. Blue days, black nights, I didn't realize I would miss you the way I did. And now, somehow, I know I will pay for the times I have made you blue. Memories of you make me sorry. I gave you reason to doubt me, but now you're gone, and I am left here all alone with the blue memories. I think of you.
That's Buddy Holly, who found that song in '55. He actually recorded it in 1956, and it was his first single record release, Blue Days and Black Nights. But I think by the time that came out, you'd probably already come to Tulsa. But that was the kind of thing Buddy was doing that I know that you worked with him. He was doing that.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I left Lubbock in 1955. I think it was kind of late in 55, early 56, and I might have heard that record once or twice before, and that's about it.
Yeah,
you know.
okay.
And because I was back here in Tulsa for about probably 6 months or 8 months, or maybe a year, and I was riding down the road one day in a car and heard this song come on, you know, and I'm thinking, boy, that's a good sounding record, you know. I mean, it had some good guitar work in it, and the lyrics were good. And when he got through, it said, you know, Buddy Holly. And I said, son of a gun.
Left too
I said,
soon.
here he goes. Here he goes.
That was probably That'll Be the Day.
That's correct,
the
yeah.
song. All right. Clyde Stacy and the Nightcaps Clyde of the band, our guest, along with old Raul Sokola, who helped Clyde get his career started back. When did you first meet Clyde Stacy, Raul? You remember?
Well, it was down there by Lake Eufaula.
He was living down by Bragg's, Oklahoma.
Yeah, he was down there noodling for carp.
He was noodling for carp in Lake Eufaula.
That's right, and he had him a gill net and a big old 5-gallon bucket, an old dry-wallered empty mud bucket, and he was down there noodling for carp. That's when I first ran into the boy.
You were just walking down there and just ran onto it.
Well, I was actually camping out down there.
Oh, I see.
Or hiding out, they call it now.
Well, Clyde Stacy, our guest, along with Raul Sokola here this morning on the Bandstand from KAKC. And we talked about your most embarrassing moment. The stage fell off, or, you know, the pants fell down, or, I mean, what was the craziest thing?
Well, you were close, John. You're real close. I mean, I fell off the stage once or twice, which is pretty embarrassing, you know, and I don't even drink. Never did, actually. But I think probably one of the most embarrassing things that come to my mind, maybe more, but this one was embarrassing. We were doing a show in Atlantic City, in New Jersey, with Conway Twitty. What they did was, back then, a lot of those big resort areas, which Atlantic City, New Jersey, of course, is, everybody knows, mostly a gambling town now, but back then it was. And we played in this big club called Tony Mart's, and probably hold about 2,000-3,000 people. And we were playing with Conway Twitty. We'd play like 30 minutes on stage, and then we'd be off 30 minutes, and Conway would play 30, and just alternate kind of back and forth. And and we was just having a great time. But one night I came into work, and I was late, and the band was already on stage, and I got there, and I was really late, and I had to get dressed in a hurry. So I, you know, grabbed my clothes and my suit and threw it on, and it was so fast, and I ran out on the stage and forgot my guitar and had to go back and get it. And I got out there and played, and I probably played most of the whole first set, you know. And I noticed a couple of people was dancing down the front, and they were looking, you know, and kind of grinning, you know, like this, you know. And I'm wondering, you know, what in the world are they laughing at, you know? And so after a while, my bass player, you know, he was an Italian kid, and he loved to joke and go on anyway. And he come over by me, you know, and he whispered in my ear. He said, "Your fly's open." You know, the pants, I didn't get them on. So it's such a hurry, you know, to get out on the stage, you know. And I'm thinking, yeah, Johnny, yeah. Because he was always pulling pranks like that, you know. And he come back over again to me. He said, "I'm serious, you're fine." And I looked down, and the bigger and crap, you know, there it was. And in front of probably 8,000 people, you know. And so that's a very embarrassing moment. So I had to stop and turn around and walk back. I said, "I got some technical difficulties. You'll be right back."
Turn around and zipped your pants up.
Yeah.
What else can you do? Yeah.
Fixed. That's all you can do, you know. Yeah.
Now, Raul, you were there. You saw that incident.
Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Well, at first I didn't know you could say crap on the radio, but
Yeah, you can today.
well, anyway, I thought part of the show. I thought, well, there's a unique little gimmick. I've never thought of that. Next thing I know, heck, half the people come through town play with their flies open. Little Richard, Jerry Lee Lewis, they all had the same act then.
Yeah, they all did it.
He's a trendsetter, still is.
All right.
That reminded me of a joke, John. Did you ever hear the joke, two ants walking down the street? Two ants walking down the street, and one ant looked at the other ant and said, "Hey, you know your man's open?"
Wait a minute.
That's how like FM radio story.
Sounds like Roy D. Mercer might have told that. Clyde Stacy, our guest, along with Raul. This is Saturday Bandstand from KAKC. Need to catch up on a little business, and when
He's
we
retired
return,
now.
When we return, we'll have another Clyde Stacy record. I think
Got to make some money, right, John?
Yeah, got to make a little money and come back and remember another Clyde Stacy tune that might be a little on the rare side. We'll hear it coming up next, right here.
All night, everything I do don't turn out right. I just feel right. You know I feel right. Yes, I feel right. Since you've been gone, I get so sad when I'm by myself. I'm like a stream without water, like a book without a shelf. I just feel bad. Yes, I feel right. Oh, I feel right. Since you've been gone.
Baby, please come home and mend this aching heart. I've been so lonely since we've been apart. I just feel like,
You know I feel right. Yes, I feel right. Since you've been gone, I get so lonely since my baby left me. I can't seem to shake this misery. I just feel right. Oh, I feel right. Yes, I feel right. Since you've been gone.
that ain't all. I'm on my knees, begging and pleading. Oh, I'm not trying to be a comedian.
Yeah, I tell you what, Clyde Stacy, that sound had a little Conway Twitty effect there, I thought, at the end of that song.
Yeah, just a dab. That was a late song that we did back in probably about 1961, and written by, I think, Big Al Downing. Is that correct?
Yeah, Big Al.
Both sides of it, I think, with Big Al.
Big Al Downing, Bobby
Big-
Poe,
And Big Al and Bobby produced that song.
and Vernon Sandusky,
Right, right,
who's with Roy Clark today.
right.
And Bobby Poe, I think, lives in Virginia. He had the Polecats. Bobby
Right,
Poe and the
and
Polecats.
well, of course, Bobby was Big Al's manager for many, many years, and I think he finally, Big Al went with the bigger producer and got him, some pretty good records. Later, and had some pretty big
Yeah.
records, in the last, I'd say, 5, 6 years, 10 years anyway.
He's had some big country hits. He had a few rock and roll early 60s
Oh, yes, he
things
did.
with
He had some good hits.
Little Esther Phillips sang with her.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, the one I'm trying to think of there was a big hit for him, and about Mr.
Jones?
Mr. Jones.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was
big hit for Al, and good song. He's just a nice man, nice fellow. I really like Big Al and Bobby, both, of course, friends of mine, go way back.
Well, we'll play one of their tunes here in a minute, just
All
for
right,
you.
Bobby and Al both was Okies. They're both from here.
Lenapaw,
Yeah.
just across the line there from Coffeyville, Kansas.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, right. Clyde Stacy is our guest for the next few moments here. It's 6 minutes before high noon, Saturday Bandstand. And let's go back and remember the flip side of this record, since I think this was your favorite side. And a tune again written by Bobby Poe, Vernon Sandusky, and Big Al Downing.
There you go.
How did you come around these guys? Did you know them, work with them?
I'd known them for years and years. When I first even got into business, I knew Bobby, and of course Bobby ran the Big Al. Somewhere he found him and kind of took him under his wing, and they went back east and stayed for years and years. Big Al worked around Washington D.C. probably for 10, 15 years. He recorded songs and worked around there.
So you were
And-
there along with him in that area? And-
Yeah. We lived not far from Washington, D.C., up in Pennsylvania, but it wasn't that far of a drive. So we used to go down and see him occasionally. And Bobby called me one time, and he said, "Hey, I got these songs I think would be good for you to come down and take a look at them." And so we just went ahead and did them while we were there. This was recorded with my band called the Full Flames, which Rocky Curtis was on piano.
Rocky
and,
Curtis we know today
as
Rocky
Frisco.
Right. Exactly right.
I could tell you his real name, but he probably would kill me.
He'd probably hang us all.
He'd probably kill me, so I won't do that.
Okay. But Rocky Frisco today was called Rocky Curtis then professionally,
That's correct.
and the Four Flames, and that was actually your band?
That was my band. I went when I was living back east, I found these guys playing in a little old bar down in a cellar in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And there was three of them at the time, bass player, lead guitar, and drummer. And so they were good musicians, all of them. And I asked them, I said, you know, I'm looking for a band like you guys that can play anything, and would you be interested in a job? And they said, yeah. So I think they were making about $20 a night working in this club. So I picked the three of them up, and then Rocky, of course, traveled with me, and he was kind of our arranger and piano player.
Right.
So put Rocky with him, and that's how the Four Flames was born.
Okay. And they
and then they went on to do, after I quit, took off a year and come back to Oklahoma for a year, and they went on to do an album or two with Columbia,
right,
which was
that's
pretty good stuff.
Kind of a collector's thing today, and
yeah, right.
So Rocky Frisco,
and Rocky still lives here in town, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah,
not?
he still,
yeah.
as far as I know, see Rocky Frisco performing all over this area from time to time. Right. But he performed with you back 35 years ago.
He worked for me from about 1957 till probably 1961, 62.
Did he play on this session? Is he on this record?
Yeah, he's on it.
So it's you and he from Tulsa and the guys from Scranton.
That's right. The Four Flames is on this. And Big Al might have been in there hitting a lick or two on the piano. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, let's check it out, see what it is, as we say hello to Clyde Stacy. You remember Clyde from Tulsa and from the KAKC record hops.
Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. You had me believing every word you said. I even believed you when you said we'd win. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. You had my heart on a string, and now you say you won't wear my ring. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Told me that you love me and I want you alone, but now you're leaving me all alone. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. I know you're thinking you're pretty smart, 'cause you went and broke my loving heart. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Told me that you love me and I want you alone, but now you're leaving me all alone. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. I know you're thinking you're pretty smart, 'cause you went and broke my loving heart. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied, I hope you're satisfied. Satisfied.
Okay, and Satisfied from KAKC. I was just visiting with a friend of mine on the phone, Clyde, that said that Rocky Frisco plays occasionally or fairly regularly out at the Rum Runners Hideaway. It's about 9th and Sheridan.
Okay.
So
I'd like to go by and see, yeah.
You go by and see him sometime.
See Rockin, see how he's getting along.
All right. Well, I was just looking at a magazine. You had a nice write-up. Now, many people know, but in case they don't, there are some that are listening that don't. My friend Bill Griggs, who for many, many years ran an organization, still does, dedicated to preserving the memory of Buddy Holly mainly, but all the other artists from that same era.
Yes.
And not very long ago, Bill Griggs did a book, and the book was about West Texas musicians.
West Texas musicians who lived in the West Texas area.
Mm-hmm. And he's got everybody in here from
there's a lot of them come out of there.
Debbie Reynolds to Bobby Fuller to to Buddy Holly and the Crickets, and
Buddy Knox,
Jimmy Dean, the Fireballs, Don Guess, many, many more, including Clyde Stacy.
right.
Has he got your name spelled right, or is the record spelling right?
He put one too many letters in it.
You got an E in there.
But I'm not going to chastise him because of that. He didn't know. He said the next article he would get it right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I said, okay.
But there's a nice story in here
It's
about
a nice
Clyde
story,
Stacy.
yes.
Yeah. And he came to see you at your home, and
That's correct. Last summer or spring, well, somewhere in there, he came to visit me. He was in Bartlesville, I think, visiting a friend of his there, and they came down. And we had a nice visit, interview for about an hour. He was using for his upcoming release in the book, and some pictures and stuff like that. So he said he was going to send me a copy when he came out. Should be out pretty soon now, I would think.
Well, I hope so. Yeah, I'd like to have a copy too. But if there's anyone interested in this magazine, it's kind of like about the size of a Newsweek magazine, slick cover, very nicely done. Lots of pictures of the artists from the era. It's got everybody in the world in it.
A lot of information. It's a good magazine, and that's yours. I'm going to make you a present of that.
Well, thank you.
And anybody that wants to get one, I'm sure they can call Bill or write him, and he can be glad to send
Yeah, and
one.
I have the address right here. It's
Right.
Post Office Box in Lubbock. If you'd like to have that address to get any information about Buddy Holly or any of the artists in that
He's
area.
probably one of the foremost experts on Buddy Holly memorabilia. Yeah.
He's helped produce a number of TV specials with Paul McCartney and others.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's a who's who of West Texas rock and roll music, and lots of nice pictures of Waylon and Buddy in the early years, and of course a nice story about Clyde Stacy. Well, Clyde, I got a song here by one of your old partners, one of your old friends, guy that wrote your songs, Big Al Downing.
Big Al Downing, love him.
Remember his song
He was great.
that he recorded that in 1958 for a little label down in Dallas, Texas, but it got picked up by Gene Autry's Challenge label, a song called Down on the Farm.
Right. This label here, Lynn, I think, if I'm not mistaken, belonged to Bobby and or Big Al.
Okay.
Bobby here out of Washington, D.C. The Argyle label, I don't know where that one come from for sure, so I would have to kind of wonder about that one.
You find a lot of your old records on things you never knew happened to them, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, we'll do this for our good friend Clyde Stacy today, kind enough to come all the way from Muskogee to sit in with us for an hour or so. And we'll come back, and I've got a couple of final things I'd like to visit with you about, okay? It's coming up next, right here.
You might think I'm a crazy fool, but I saw a horse doing the barber whip a mule down on the farm. Down on the farm. Down on the farm. Rock and roll taking over my farm. The rooster won't crow, chicken won't cluck. Walking around the barnyard doing the huckabug. Down on the farm. Down on the farm. Down on the farm. Rock and roll taking over my farm. Yeah. Crazy dog, crazy pig, all I wanna do is a rock and roll jig down on the farm. Down on the farm. Down on the farm, rock and roll taking over my farm. Yeah. Rooster won't crow, chicken won't cluck. Walking around the barnyard doing the huckabug. Down on the farm. Down on the farm. Down on the farm. Rock and roll taking over my barn.
Well, it's Down on the Farm, and rock and roll's taking over his barn. That's Big Al Downing, and that's with Bobby Poe and the Polecats, too, by the way. It was the backup band on it. And it comes from an album that you can pick up, if you're lucky, you can find it, called Rockin' and Rollin' with Big Al Downing. It's a compact disc, got all those old tracks on there like that, in pristine digital sound. 12:05, Saturday Bandstand from KAKC Tulsa. Clyde Stacy, our special guest for a few more moments, visiting with friends on the phone right now, so we'll do this. And some final comments from Clyde coming up.
What in the world is wrong with you? You didn't get home till 2:30. Sapphire, you're always kicking up an awful fuss. Pack your
Big Danny Oliver, that's called Sapphire from KAKC, Clyde Stacy. Getting some phone calls from friends that long time no see kind of folks, right?
A long time, John.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear from them, isn't it? They're still out there rocking and rolling somewhere.
That's right, yeah. Young lady just on the phone, remember me from, 1956.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking to me and naming some things. And I finally remembered who she was after a couple minutes on the phone talking to her.
Well, you never forget a pretty girl completely, do you?
Yeah. Well, it's been so long I can't really remember what they looked like. There was two of them. They were twins.
Mm-hmm.
And there was two of them.
Okay. Clyde Stacy in 1996. Happily married?
I'm
business?
married.
Been in business for yourself?
Married and to have a really great wife. She's here with me in the studio now, right here. Her name is Linda Sue Stacy, and she likes to be called Sue.
Okay.
So, and doing real good, John.
You want to write a song called Linda Sue, kind of like Peggy Sue.
Well, I thought about that. Buddy wrote a song about Peggy Sue, and so why not write one about Linda Sue?
Absolutely.
Well, Conway wrote a pretty good song about Linda.
Mm-hmm.
On my mind,
Right.
So I could redo that, right?
Absolutely. And children?
Children, I have 3, and my wife have 3, so together we have 6.
Okay, any musicians in the group?
All grown. My oldest son played guitar and sang for many years in California. He went to California to make his fame and fortune in Bakersfield with Buck Owens and
really,
and a few people like that. And after about 4 years, he decided to get a legitimate job, and so he's doing quite well. He has a construction business in Muskogee.
Okay. All the kids married? You got grandkids? All
the kids are married, and I have grandkids. Between the two of us, we have, is it 10? 10, I believe, John.
So what was it like Thanksgiving at your house?
Well, we had 3 Thanksgivings this year, John.
Okay, all right. Boy, when you have everybody come over, it's a good time, isn't it?
It's a lot of people, that's right, but we have a good time. We enjoy it, we really do.
One of the nice things that's happened recently, I think, to you is getting a letter from not the person running the vacuum cleaner that's allowed in the background.
Is that what that is?
but a person, a disc jockey from Germany.
Yes, that
out of the clear blue sky, right?
Right, just right out of the clear blue sky. I don't think that I'd received mail from other countries, but I don't think Germany. So this guy out of the clear blue sends me a letter from a town in Germany, and said he was a big fan since the 50s and 60s, and he sent some, not my records because he wouldn't turn loose of them, so some of them are collector's items, of course.
Right.
You probably got the best collection in town. But he sent the shucks.
The sleeves.
For the sleeves, yeah. Right. And he wanted me to autograph them for him and stuff and send me some up-to-date pictures. And so I'm going to do that. He was nice enough to write, so I'm going to do it, And
yeah, total stranger halfway around the world.
Halfway around the world. He has a show there in Germany. It's not Stuttgart, but he said it was right near Stuttgart, Germany.
Well, you've had, I guess, so many great experiences, thrilling times, meeting the big stars and working on American Bandstand, meeting Dick Clark. You've lived a life, at least at that time of your life, that few people ever get to experience.
Few people ever in a lifetime would experience it. That's true.
Would you do it all over again if you had an opportunity?
Oh yeah. Without
change a thing. Right?
Without a doubt, I'd do it all over again. Might do things a little different, but I would do it again. Yeah.
Okay. And would you recommend it to young people today? Get out in that rock and roll world and have a good time.
If that's what they want to do. If they think they have the talent and got what it takes. But one thing they got to, remember is you have to want it more than anything in the world. Because if you don't, then you're going to probably not make it today because the competition is so keen. And even back when I was in the business, it may be even worse then. I mean, we had to deal with guys like Elvis Presley,
right.
Little Richard,
superstars of the day.
Oh, Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, just on and on and on and on.
So many of those stars, that some of the names you've mentioned and a whole lot more, have all in recent times talked about how they feel like they were ripped off and cheated out of a lot of income that might have been theirs through writing, through singing, performing, copyrights. And there's been some big efforts to go back and collect some of that money.
In early days, John, I'm sure that a lot of these kids, they jerked them off the streets of New York and Philadelphia and Tulsa and everywhere else. and sign them to contracts. And some of these kids, probably the biggest of all was Motown Records. And these kids were just thrilled to death to have a new suit and put them out on the stage and sing and feed them 3 times a day. They didn't know they were supposed to get paid too.
Well, after all, we said to start with, it was never for the money. It was always the girls.
That's right, okay. For the girls.
But did you feel like that you were treated fairly, or do you feel like that there might have been some things?
Oh, I think in that time, I think everybody was skimming. I think everybody was skimming.
The young people were being taken advantage of.
Correct.
Okay.
We didn't you had the tendency back in the 50s and 60s to trust people.
Right.
You took them at their word and you trusted them, and I did the same thing, and so that's the way it was. We just said, well, these guys would never cheat us, So, but I'm sure a lot of them did.
Would you ever entertain the idea of maybe in today's time to go back out and sing an occasional show once in a while? Would you ever consider doing that again, or have you just totally decided to retire?
I would not want to travel again, John, because at my age, it really, it kind of taxes your body. Not that I couldn't do it, but I don't think I'd want to. But I would love to do maybe an album or even a single record if I could get the right material. And I would love to do something like that.
Okay.
As far as traveling, going back to the grind, working 300 days a year or 200 days a year, I wouldn't want to do that.
Stick a fork in you, you're done with that.
Right, stick a fork in it.
Boy, it's been a pleasure having you here, Clyde. Don't know how long that we've looked forward to having you up here someday.
Yeah, about 2 years we've been trying.
Yeah, been trying to make connections for a long time, and thanks to your pretty wife Sue over here for.
Yeah, because she's the one that kind of got me in gear.
And old Raul, he was.
And Raul was good. I mean, he had to leave to go to someplace, but he'll be back.
He'll check in here in a little bit.
He'll be.
Well, good luck to you in whatever you do, and I hope that continued success in the American Fence Company.
Well, our business is doing quite well, and I'm sure we're going to continue to do well. And I appreciate it, John. You letting me come on here immensely, and hope you'll ask me back again.
Anytime you'd like to come, you just drive that way from Muskogee, and the mic's yours.
All right, buddy.
Clyde Stacy and the Nightcaps from Tulsa, our special guest on the Bandstand.
Yeah. Better believe what I say. Baby, and the night before, telling you right now, baby, I ain't gonna take it no more. You better hear me, baby, you better leave what I say. If you don't take enough, baby, honey, I'm going upside your head. Call you fine, you better have them to know, baby, you're mine, oh mine, you better hear me, baby, now believe what I say. You better believe me, baby, now I'm gonna try your head. I bought you a suit, baby, now you wanna mistreat me, baby, and take on all the time. You better hear me, baby.